Hallå! Hi, how are you? Welcome to, and I don't know what episode number this is, but welcome anyway. This is Friday the 6th of February 2015. I'm Maja and you can find me as sjomajlin on YouTube and Instagram and on Ravelry. So hi! I'm gonna say up front that I've been back to work this week and I have met a lot of people with different sort of germs, so I picked up something. And there is also the issue of very dry winter air making my hands super dry, so I'm itching sometimes, so bear with me. So hi! Well, yeah, as I said, I've been back to work this week. I am working 75% now. I'm not... Okay, so rewind for you who are a bit newer. In November, I was on sick leave. I worked the first day of November, and then I was on sick leave for all of November, and then half time for half December. Because of depression and fatigue and anxiety, and yeah, it was a rough time. I had worked a little bit too much before that to sort of try to make everything happen, but well, anyway. And so then after that I had sort of just, you know, a week in between my sick leave, and I had the I had the opportunity to take a fairly long Christmas break, so I did. And then I had sort of just 1 week in between where I worked, but I wasn't, you know, my head wasn't really in it. And then I had a long Christmas break, and then I worked for, I think it was 7 days where my head also wasn't really in it, which must have been, well, 4 weeks ago pretty much. And then 3 weeks ago I left for a 2-week holiday on Gran Canaria, which I showed you some Christmas vacation footage of last episode. Okay. So this week has been my sort of first week back, you know, for real. I am, however, working 75% now, and that is not due to my sick leave lingering on, but it is because of, well, that was what they could offer me out of the, what do you say, like the budget, the financial plan for the organization that I do work for. So that means I've been able to do some magic with my actual work hours this week. So I've slept in fairly late most of the days because I really needed that, and that's been working out fine. But still, I mean, it sort of got into my head, you know, that okay, now I'm back for real. And also, you know, coming home to Sweden where it's, well, darker and cold, and we do have snow now, which makes it brighter and, you know, sort of easier to cope, really. But it's pretty dreary anyway. I'm doing fine, but I'm really glad that I was able to take this week very slow, because I really needed that. And also on Monday night we had like a farewell dinner with the choir. I told you about, or maybe I didn't, maybe I just posted on Instagram. Our, what do you say, choir leader, he's not really the conductor, but he's like, you know, the musical leader. He changed work, so we knew that for a while, and he started it out other work by now, but we wanted to have, you know, sort of a farewell dinner for him, so we did that on Monday, which was a really good time. Really good time, but also, I mean, it takes a lot of energy. And then on Wednesday we celebrated my dad. He had a big birthday. He's 65 now, and that is the like the normal retirement age. is that the word? He is working 60% now, and I think he will do that for a year, because my mom is 1 year younger than him, so I do think I remember that their plan is to sort of retire at the same time. I'm not sure. I think that was what they said. So we celebrated him, which was also, I mean, we had a really good time. So yeah, it's been a good week. I've also had some knitting time or other stuff time, as I will be showing you in a minute. But I've also had, you know, not really had the energy. I've just been, you know, sitting and watching at a screen. But as I said, I'm doing good. You don't need to worry or anything. So, I've been working on a cross stitch this week. So, if you are a person who I know, like in real life, who have asked me for maybe making you a cross stitch, either look away right now or make sure to forget about this before it's time to receive any gifts. I made a cross stitch that looks like this, that says: Vi är lyckliga nog att leva i ett land som människor flyr till och inte ett land som människor flyr ifrån. Did I say it right? Yes, I did. Which means we are lucky enough to be living in a country that people flee to and not a country that people flee from. And that is something to consider. I've talked a little bit about us having a racist party that is growing. I mean, all of Europe is going through this right now, that the, you know, extreme right wing is growing, and I think that's very scary. And I think that this is so very true, that I am for sure lucky enough to be living in a country that people flee to and not a country that people flee from. And that is I am aware that I have an international audience, and maybe not all of you are in the same situation as me, but I do believe most of us in this online knitting community are. So yeah, it's really something to consider. I will be finding a good size frame for this, and, you know, sort of iron it out and do those finishing touches, but I'm showing you this now as a finished object, because this sort of, you know, crafty part of it is done. And I have mentioned before that I do, I don't just do knitting, I do other stuff as well. And I do think of this as being a knitting podcast, and like at least, well, a yarny podcast, because I've shown you some hand spun that I've done, and maybe even some crochet. I don't remember if I've done any crochet since I started this, but I do crochet. But I also think of this as being, you know, sort of a creative outlet. So when I do other stuff, I will probably, you know, just show it to you real quick. So I'm not going to talk about embroidery or cross stitch because I don't do it that much, but it's still a textile craft, so why not? So yeah, I started that on, yeah, no, I don't remember what day I started it, but I started it this week and I finished it this week. So that is the only finished object that I've got. And then I have some works in progress. Okay, I'll talk about this first. I've shown you this before. I'm making... Yeah, so I've talked about this yarn. This was gifted to me, so I'm not sure what it is. So I did ask the lady who gifted this to me, and she thought it was Philly silk, which was also my guess. So I'm going with it as being Philly silk, which is 70% lamb's wool and 30% silk. So it's a good yarn. And I'm making this lace let me see if I can spread it for you so you can see. A lace shawl, like a rectangular shawl. So I wanted it wider than a scarf, but sort of, well, maybe a scarf almost. And I borrowed this lace pattern from the Herbology socks out of the unofficial Harry Potter knits. Harry Potter knits, not Harry Potter knits. I did cast this on with, well, a third more stitches, and then I realized it was too wide, so I ripped it out, cast on fewer stitches and knitted it this much, obviously, and then I weighed it. So this is using 10 grams of yarn, and this ball is 60 grams of yarn. This can be stretched out or blocked out to be 10 centimeters ish, which means if I knit this up, it will be like 70 centimeters, which is a little bit wider than my shoulder width, which is too short, too narrow. And I don't want that. So I decided just yesterday evening that I will frog this. Unfortunately, because I really like this yarn combination, this yarn pattern combination, but yeah, it won't give me the result I'm after, so I'll have to do something else with this. So I've been working on this week, but it's no longer a work in progress, so I will frog this. But as I said, I decided this just yesterday, so I saved it to show you guys. So, boo-hoo. Another work in progress is my Lado sweater that I've shown you a million times, made out of Drops Fable. Oh, I was like, there's something wrong with that label. It was upside down. I'm knitting this on my interchangeable Knit Pros with the Nova tips and on size 3 millimeters. So I've done this colorwork yoke, which you've seen a couple of times if you've been with me for a while. I've divided for the sleeves, and I had done that last week, and now I've only just started the waist shaping. So I made some progress, not really enough so that you can see it, I guess. I did yesterday. I took the needle out and put it on one of those extension thingies and another cable, and I tried it on to see. I had tried on just the yoke before I divided for the sleeves, but that's always a bit tricky. So I tried it on now to see, you know, sort of the shoulder fit and also the well, under the arm circumference, upper chest circumference. And I really like it. I really like it. It's a good fit. Obviously I need to block and even out the yoke, because it's a little bit like bubbly. So it's not perfect yet, but I think it will be close to anyway. So I'm really liking it. It's coming along. But as I said, I'm working this on size 3 millimeter needles, so and I have 200 something, like 290 stitches. No, I'm not sure. But there's a lot of stitches on each round, so it's a fair amount of time. But it's coming along nicely. So I'm working on that. And then I started another project that I'm really not sure about. I posted this to Instagram and you guys were like, whoa, yes, that's so good. But I'm still not convinced. It's semicircular shawl. Is it? Like a half circle. Crescent shape is more elongated. I'm not sure. I think so. But it's like half a circle of a shawl. I'm this far right now, using my Knit Pro fixed carbons in 3.5 mils, I believe. And the yarn that I'm using is a sock yarn, Pro Socks, in the smaragd colorway, and I'm pretty sure that smaragd is emerald in English. Yeah, so it shows up a little bit lighter because of my huge windows right over there. But it's greens and turquoise and teals and plum. And yeah, so it's a little bit darker, richer than what you see. But yeah. So it is, well, you can see it is, I mean, it's striping, but not those, you know, sort of short, sharp stripes. It's, it transitions fairly smooth across the color changes, at least so far. The rows are getting longer, obviously, and I'm afraid it will be some weird pooling going on in a while, but we'll just have to see. The pattern I'm using is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called Meadowgrass. It's by, and I'm shaking. It's by Heidi Alander, and it is a striped shawl, as you can see, with a lace edging. And here is another picture. So the yarn is, or the pattern gives you direction for using 2 yarns and then changing between them to make these stripes. And I think it looks really, really good. I love these thin stripes. But I really wanted to use this yarn and I didn't want to combine it with anything else. So I'm thinking to make it with just, well, it's not just one color because it's more colors, but you know, just the one yarn and then that lace edging. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it will turn out, but for now I'm working on it anyway. And yeah, we'll just have to see. This yarn, I didn't tell you, this yarn is 75% sjomajlin. Is that, well, it's some sort of wool. It might be, no, I don't know what shur means, and 25% polyamide, so it's a sock yarn. And if you are better at languages than I am, there is what it says. Well, it's a sock yarn anyway, so it will wear pretty good, I guess. And it calls for, if I would have made socks with this yarn, I would have probably used size 2mm needles, and now I'm using 3.5, so it's a bit okay, it's pretty unfair to show it against the white wall because it looks like it's super airy, but it's like that. I mean, it's pretty airy and will block out to a good size, I believe, but I guess it will be pretty warm to have around my shoulders and neck, so I'm giving this a try. I'll have to see what happens with the pooling and then the lace edging. Yeah, we'll just have to see. So that's what I'm working on. So as of yesterday, when I decided to frog this this I only have 2 works in progress, so I'm thinking I might want to cast on something else because I sort of like having 3 things going, but we'll have to see. So that's what I'm working on, and then I have some stash enhancement. Let me just look at the time. Yeah, I placed an order with a Swedish yarn online yarn shop the other day, and because I wanted a needle, so I got the Addy needle, fixed circular 2mm needles with a 1 meter cord. so I just got that. And then I also ordered some Knit Pro interchangeable tips, the short ones, size 3 millimeters of the Novas. So it's the same as these that I'm using for the Lado sweater, but the short ones. So I ordered those, and then as I had, you know, ordered them or placed them in my cart. I mean, you have to order some yarn as well, right? So I sent a text to Patrick, that you all know by now, I hope, saying, because, I mean, I've had a fairly rough fall. And I sent a text saying, like, I really should, you know, treat myself to a nice yarn to celebrate that I'm awesome enough to have managed to go through that, right? And he didn't answer right away, and so I was clicking through. And then I realized, cause I said I'm just working 75% now, which is, I mean, it's a financial issue, or not an issue, but a situation for me for this year, and I'm doing okay. I'm doing good, and I have some like savings for this sort of event going on. For this sort of situation. So I'm good. But it was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, you know, sort of do that sort of luxury stuff. And maybe not just after I had this vacation that also was, you know, not totally inexpensive. So I decided not to treat myself to something, you know, super luxurious. But I did get to, what's the word? Skeins of Cascade. Which is, I mean, I know it's not like super luxurious, but since... so as I said, I ordered this from a Swedish online shop, but we still, I mean, I still pay for part of their shipping costs and also the, oh, what's the word? You pay sort of a fee to bring it in over the, you know, into the country. What's it called? You know what I mean, though. So it sort of adds on to the price. So I've got one skein of Cascade 220 fingering, which is, I mean, I know this is like fairly common yarn to use in Northern America. But here it's, I mean, it's not a luxurious yarn, but it's not the most, I don't know what word to use. It's a little bit of an exclusive yarn over here. So, I got this. Obviously, a fingering yarn in a tealy colorway. I don't remember the name of it, but the number is 8892. 8892. And I really like this color. I love teals. So I got that. And then I also ordered some Cascade Yarns alpaca lace. Ah, it's so soft. And it's also a tealy color. This is a bit lighter than this one. And they both are a little bit, I don't know, heathered. And especially this one, the alpaca lace. And I don't remember the name of the colorway on this either. If it even had a colorway name. But it is color number 1427. 1427. And I love this color. It's so beautiful. And I am now thinking that maybe I will combine these colors, because that is an amazing color combination. I am thinking though that, so this is 100% baby alpaca, or just alpaca, baby alpaca. And this is lamb's wool and silk. So I'm thinking that by combining alpaca and silk, maybe I will lose the coolness of the silk. But I'm not sure, so yeah, we'll just see. But this color combination is amazing. So we'll see. I'm thinking about that. So that's what I ordered. Yay! But then, and then I got to bed. And then in the morning when I turned my cell phone back on, because I usually turn it off when I go to bed, because I don't want anyone to call me anyway. Patrick had answered my text saying like, yeah, you should. and then answered him again saying like, yeah, I know, but then I realized, you know, buying yarn for like over 200 kronor, which I guess would be sort of, yeah, I don't even know how to translate that into, or what's the word, convert that into other currencies. I guess sort of 20 euros, a little bit more than 20 euros. Maybe that is not the best thing for me to do right now financially. And then I got a message from him saying, done. I was like, what? And so I checked my Swish, and he had sent me some money. Sweet, sweet Patrick. So I went back to the same yarn store online, and I ordered some Malabrigo. Some Malabrigo sock yarn in the Caribeno, I don't know, colorway 474, which is, excuse me, which is also blue, a lighter blue and darker blue and teal. And so this is being washed out in this lighting. This part is really rich teal, and then where it meets the dark blue is just amazing right here. And it's so washed out on my little viewfinder. I'm guessing it will be washed out when you see it as well, but this is so beautiful. Whew. I'm actually a little bit, you know, emotional about this because it's so beautiful. I have not decided what I want to make with this yet. I won't be making socks though. I want to make a shawl or something so that I can have it around my face all the time. This is so beautiful. And this is, I mean, Malabrigo is a fairly luxurious yarn in other parts of the world too. But as I said, to get it to Sweden, we sort of have to pay, you know, extra for it. So it's a pretty darn luxurious yarn. And I love this so much. So yeah, I have not decided what to make with it yet. As I said, I will be making some sort of shawl, I think, so I can have it around my face. I have some shawls that I have looked at on Ravelry that I feel, that I want to do, but I'm not sure what yet, so I haven't decided. And as I said, I'm also thinking into making this into a shawl. So maybe a self-striping, not self-striping, but maybe a striping one as this sort of shawl in these colors. I think that would be amazing. And maybe then some simpler open lace for this, so that the yarn can show. I didn't find a better word for it. So yeah. Or just have it like this, maybe. Okay, it's so beautiful. I'm a bit touched, actually. So thank you very much, Patrick. I don't think you've seen this yet. I don't even know if you'll see this. Okay, I need to calm down. I'm sorry, this is weird, but sometimes I get really emotional over, you know, sort of things that not all people understand. And I've talked about this in, was it episode 10? And so, well, yeah, that was the fiber content of this podcast. So if you're just here for the fiber content, that is completely fine, and take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. But if you want to stick around for me for a bit longer, I think it was in episode 10, I'm pretty sure, that I talked about HSP, which stands for highly sensitive person, which after that I have had I've gotten very much feedback from you guys. A lot of people messaging me on Ravelry or other places saying that, whoa, that's me you're talking about. I had no idea, but I really need to check this out. So, and I talked back then about I think that a lot of us in the knitting community actually are HSP or have HSP. I don't know the word for it. Because I think that working, you know, the very tactile, if that's the word in English, experience of working with yarn, I think that is something that sort of helps us. So I think a lot of people are drawn into textile crafts. A lot of people with HSP are drawn into textile crafts, I think. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that. And I have to put this away or I'll start crying, it's so beautiful. So I certainly have HSP or am HSP or whatever it is called. And some days are, you know, some days it's easier to just cope with all of the things, and some days it's harder. And it could both be, you know, sort of things that are tough for real. But it could also be something like having a beautiful skein of yarn and just being so emotional about it that it's actually, you know, heavy. So it's a good thing, but it's heavy, and I'm just about to start crying and I won't do that today. So yeah, and this is also something I tell you sometimes that I refuse to be part of the silence. I will talk about mental health issues and depressions and things like that. But also this HSP thing is something that I feel I need to be able to talk about me experiencing these things. Because it is something that I am... Okay, I'm gonna be really honest right now. This is something that I'm a little bit ashamed over. And I really don't want to be. Because I really don't think it is something to be ashamed for. But still I'm having that reaction to myself. And for me, the best way to deal with that is to talk about it. Even though it's pretty hard. And, you know, starting crying over a skein of yarn is not a normal reaction. But that's what I do sometimes. And that's okay. And I don't really know where I'm going with this. I wanted to, because as I've said, when I talked about this last time, a lot of you guys reached out to either, you know, say you're not alone, or to say, whoa, that's me, I need to check this out. Which is something that, as I said, it makes me sorry or sad to hear that you are going through this, because it's kind of hard to go through. But on the other hand, it's always good to know that you're not alone. And the third thing is, I think it's easier to go through it if you know what it is you're going through. So a lot of those of you who got in touch with me back then didn't know. Or that's what you said anyway, or that's what I read it as. And so maybe knowing about it makes it easier for you. And if I can do that, I mean, that is... Of course I will. If I can do that, why shouldn't I? So if you haven't heard about HSP, how do I make this very short? People with HSP, or who are HSP, highly sensitive people, usually, most of us are introverts, not all of us. But we do stuff that seems to be, you know, simple and easy and no problem for other people can be ginormous hurdles for us. And so if people tell you, you know, oh, just don't think about it, or, you know, oh, it's not that hard, that sort of things, maybe you also should look up HSP. I don't even know what to say. I don't remember what I said last time. But there is like a self-test online that you can do. You answer, I think it's around 100 questions. No, I'm really not sure. There's a lot of questions that you'll answer with, like, you know, from 1 to 4 or something, or 0 to 4. Like if you agree, like strongly disagree, and then a scale 2 strongly agree. And then you add up the sum that you got, and then there is a second part to this quiz where you answer the same way, but that sum will be subtracted from the first, and then you'll get a score, and then you'll see, you know, sort of where on a scale you place. And it's, you know, absolutely do take it with a grain of salt, but I think it's really good to be able to think about your emotional sides as being, because when I'm, and I don't really know where I'm going with this, when I am going through rough parts, I really find it, well, rough, but I am trying to think of it as being something positive, because it is. But it's hard. But knowing about it, and there's a lot of stuff to read about it that makes it so much easier to deal with it. And so that is why I want to share it with you, so that, yeah, if you think that you need to read up on this, please do. That's really what I'm going through. So if you also are a person who sometimes have cried over skein of yarn being very beautiful, then maybe look up HSP, highly sensitive person, I think. Okay. Yeah, now I need to make something to eat, and then I'm off to do 2 gigs this afternoon, which I'm looking very much forward to, and then I have the weekend off to knit and cuddle my yarn. And you can't even see it when I do it like this. Do take care. Read up on HSP if you think that you should. It's always good to know, right? Be kind, both to yourself and to people around you, because you never know what they are going through. And make something. Be creative. That's good for ya. Yeah. So I'll see you next time. Bye.